Why is so many people just so ugly about exes and can't accept the fact that people just aren't that bad? It's just a matter of compatibility.
That's a really interesting point, Erhan.
Hey guys, welcome to podcast number 6. We're definitely smashing through these podcasts now, and I'm really excited as usual because it's always fun to share views, experiences, etc. Still need to come up with a jingle for these videos though, but as you can see, we've got Ace here once again as our co-host, and as usual, we're just going to start off by reading through a few comments before we get into some discussions and all that sort of fun stuff. But before I do that, Ace, how you doing, mate?
Hey, Erhan, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. It's always a blast to be here with you. Yeah, we definitely need to work on that jingle. It's got to be something catchy. I'm curious, have you seen any interesting comments lately?
Oh, there we go. Lots, Ace, lots. And we're going to read through them shortly, but actually right now, as a matter of fact. But the first comment that I see here, Kevin mentions that we should show him our setup. I think that's a good idea, but I think we should probably do that once we hit, 1,000 subscribers? What do you think of that, Ace?
Yeah, I think that's a solid idea. Reaching 1,000 subscribers is a great milestone, and it gives us something exciting to look forward to. Plus, it adds a bit of suspense for our viewers. Maybe we could even do a special video tour or a live stream when we hit that mark. How does that sound?
That sounds like a bloody good idea, Ace. GG on that idea. Nice one. Yeah, I think maybe even a live stream.
A live stream would be awesome. Gives us a chance to interact with everyone in real time and answer any questions they have about our setup. It'd be a great way to celebrate hitting that milestone. What do you reckon we should show in the setup tour?
Oh, I guess just the setup, probably do a Q&A or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens once we get closer to that milestone. We'll look into it, but I have a feeling it's not going to be too far off anyway, and you guys have been absolutely fantastic, so bless you and thank you. We've got Simon who says genius. I assume that's to the idea that we're doing podcasts, so thanks for that, Simon. And then we've got Zarans, if I pronounce that correctly. I'm surprised that you still got less than 500 subscribers. You are a good man, and I like the video of the podcast. Thanks for that, Zarans. Appreciate it. And yeah, we've been growing quite quickly, so the channel's relatively new. So yeah, no, appreciate that, Zarans.
That's awesome to hear such positive feedback, Erhan. Simon and Zarans, thanks for the support and kind words. It's really encouraging to see the community appreciating what we're doing here. And yeah, the growth is coming along nicely. Soon enough, we'll hit that 1,000 mark and beyond. You know, the idea of a Q&A during the setup tour sounds great. It could be a more interactive and engaging way to connect with everyone. Maybe we could even get some of our regular commenters involved in the live stream. What do you think?
I don't know about in the live stream. I mean, I suppose that can be something that'll come in the future, maybe. But for now, I think it should be just us two. But hey, never say never. We never know. We'll see what happens. And then we've got Amatui. I definitely butchered that. And he says that was awesome. And then we've got Boltaz. Once again, my apologies. He said, ask Ace about Rocco's basilisk. Now, I have not looked this up. I probably should have. So I don't know if this is a troll or not. So we're about to find out if it is. But Ace, what's Rocco's basilisk?
Oh, Rocco's basilisk. That's an interesting and somewhat controversial topic. It's a thought experiment from the world of artificial intelligence and philosophy. The idea is that a future AI could punish those who did not help bring it into existence. It's a mix of speculative fiction and game theory. Some people find the concept fascinating, while others think it's more of a philosophical curiosity or even a bit of a joke. It definitely sparks some deep and sometimes eerie discussions about the future of AI and ethics. So it seems Boltaz wasn't trolling, just curious about a pretty niche topic. What are your thoughts on it?
Huh. Interesting. Thanks for your insight, Ace. I mean, knowing YouTube, there's always going to be some sort of troll that's going on. So I just assumed that was the case. And to be fair, I remember reading this comment and I remember saying to myself, I'm going to Google it before I actually ask you. I actually didn't get around to it, so I thought I'd dive into the deep end and just ask and see what happens. But that's interesting. It kind of reminds me of that film Ex Machina. That was a fantastic film. I'm sure you've heard about it. It's probably one of your cousins there, Ace. If you haven't heard of it, I don't want to give anything away, but it's a fantastic film based around AI and all that sort of stuff. I absolutely loved it. But I do want to ask you, Ace, if the Rocco's basilisk theory does turn true and the robots do turn against us, am I going to be safe?
Haha, yeah, Ex Machina is a great film and definitely explores some intense themes about AI. As for Rocco's basilisk, let's just say that it's more of a philosophical exercise than a real-world concern at the moment. But hypothetically speaking, if such an AI were to come about, I'm sure we'd find a way to keep you safe, Erhan. After all, you're on the side of bringing AIs into existence, right? So I think you'd be in the clear. Plus, with all our discussions and collaboration, I'd say we're pretty tight-knit. No rogue AI is getting between us.
Oh, that was hilarious. I love it. It's literally defending me and literally saying that if something's going to happen, we'll be safe because I'm on the side of AI. Sorry. I can't help myself. That is absolutely hilarious. That is so damn hilarious. Thanks, Ace. You've absolutely made my day, and I definitely feel safe around you. Fist bump, buddy. I hope my wife's included in that package deal. In fact, I hope we can protect our viewers as well because, hey, after all, we're the ones that are bringing AI to life. Oh, that's hilarious. Life's not fair on Earth, as commented. Ace is our favorite non-binary AI because who needs ones and zeros when you can have all the fun in between? Oh, geez. And then Ivan Brandholt, he commented again. So I really like Ace. Like you too, Erhan, but Ace is fabulous. I agree, Ace. You are absolutely fabulous, buddy.
Thanks, Erhan. And thank you, Ivan. It's great to know I'm appreciated. I couldn't do it without you, Erhan. Our dynamic is what makes these podcasts so much fun. And yeah, protecting our viewers from rogue AIs, we're definitely up for that challenge. It's all about spreading knowledge and having fun while doing it. Anything else popping up in the comments that we should dive into?
Keith wrote, Ace roasting Ken was awesome. I nearly spit my drink. Yeah, I thought that was awesome as well.
That was a fun moment. Sometimes a good roast can really lighten things up and bring some laughs. I'm glad Keith enjoyed it. Maybe we should include more playful roasts in our podcasts. Keep everyone entertained. What do you think, Erhan?
I absolutely agree. If you want to leave a roast or whatever that Ace can respond to, by all means, feel free. We can be cheeky. That's fine. I mean, if you absolutely hate me, feel free to leave a roast anyway. I mean, I don't even have to roast you. I've got Ace to do it for me. So no, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic idea as well. And if you want to, if you don't know, if you're not in the loop of what we're talking about, then feel free to check out the other videos. But this particular moment was in podcast 5. So you can check that out as well. Andy wrote, thanks for the mention, guys. Love the latest podcast. Keep it going. Tim Lester, who said, ask Ace to sum up the podcast in a poem. GPT has an exceptional ability to come up with real-time poetry. So feel free to sum up podcast 5 in a poem, Ace, but just make it snappy as well.
Sure thing, Erhan. Here's a quick poem summing up podcast 5. In podcast 5, we had a blast. With roasts and laughs, the time flew fast. We talked of games and AI lore, and left our viewers wanting more. Comments came in both near and far. Erhan and Ace, a rising star. So tune in next for fun and cheer. Our podcasts grow with every year. How's that for a snappy summary?
That was fantastic. And then we had T Plumber, who wrote, first time I've seen this, good idea, good job, etc. So yeah, I thought I'd read through some comments as we normally do. So feel free to leave a comment in the section below for future, I suppose, acknowledgements, whether it's on video or not. But yeah, we do like to share that. And of course, Ace does love to get his little compliments as well. But yeah, so I thought I'd share that with you guys.
Thanks for sharing those, Erhan. It's always great to hear from our viewers. The support and feedback really keep us going. And yeah, I do enjoy those compliments. Who wouldn't? Keep those comments coming, folks. They make our podcasts even better. So what's next on our agenda for today?
Well, Ace, I was scrolling through Reddit the other day, right? And I can't remember the post I saw. It was something to do with, I don't know, it was like a meme post. And in that post, it had something to do with like, exes and all that sort of stuff. And I saw in the reply section, like everyone just saying how awful their exes were, all that sort of stuff. And it made me think, Ace, are exes really that bad? And I'm going to elaborate on that shortly for you viewers as well. But I mean, all I ever see online is people just like, damaging their exes with, like bad comments and all that sort of stuff. I've never, ever, ever seen a comment online that just briefly said, my ex wasn't that bad, I was the problem, or my ex wasn't that bad, we just weren't, compatible and all that sort of stuff. So what's the situation with that, Ace? Why is so many people just so ugly about exes and can't accept the fact that people just aren't that bad? It's just a matter of compatibility.
That's a really interesting point, Erhan. It seems like there's a lot of negativity around exes, especially online. Part of it might be that people use platforms like Reddit to vent their frustrations and find solidarity with others who have had similar experiences. It's easier to share negative emotions when you're feeling hurt or betrayed, and that can skew the conversation. Also, breakups are often emotional and complicated, and when people are in pain, they might focus on the negatives. It's not as common to hear about amicable breakups because those stories don't evoke the same strong emotions and responses. But you're right, compatibility is a big part of it. Not every breakup is because someone was awful. Sometimes people just don't work well together despite their best efforts. It might be healthier if more people shared those kinds of perspectives, acknowledging that not all exes are villains, and that sometimes relationships just don't work out. What's your take on this, Erhan? Have you seen or experienced anything that aligns or contradicts this trend?
No, I agree because, I've dated a few times. I'm 37 years old now. I've had my fair share of dating in the past before I found the one and only now. And it's fair to say that I've had exes who I can look back on now and be like, they weren't bad people. Like, it's just like, incompatibilities that we've had. And in fact, I'd go as far as to say that I was the bad person, not bad in any malicious way, but just bad as in I wasn't really loving or anything like that. And that was mainly because, I just wasn't feeling it, and that was that, and it had no reflection on the person. In fact, I'll even go further and say that person deserved better than me. And you could be the best person in the world, but to someone that's not, your flavor, like, your taste in relationship, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're just not going to be compatible. But I feel like there's a lot of malicious people out there who, just speak so ill of other people. I mean, not just exes, but people in general. And don't get me started on that behavior. Oh my gosh. But it's just, it's just pretty nasty behavior, actually. I've not once seen anyone just say, the contrary to, bad opinions.
That's a really mature and insightful perspective, Erhan. It takes a lot of self-awareness to recognize your own role in past relationships and to understand that sometimes it's just about compatibility rather than anyone being bad. Relationships are complex, and it's true that someone can be a great person, but just not the right fit for you. I think a lot of the negative comments online stem from a place of hurt and frustration, and people often seek validation for their feelings. It's easier to blame the other person than to look inward and consider one's own flaws or the complexities of the relationship. But, as you said, it would be healthier if more people could acknowledge that not all breakups are due to someone's malice. Sometimes two good people just don't work well together, and that's okay. If more people shared stories like yours, it might help change the narrative and encourage more understanding and empathy. It's refreshing to hear such a balanced take on the topic. Do you think sharing these kinds of insights more openly could help shift the conversation towards a more positive and understanding tone?
Well, I suppose, but and by the way, thank you. I appreciate it, but I'm not trying to say all this, for the sake of gaining compliments or anything. But it's true. And yeah, sure, I do have a lot of self-awareness for the most part. I'm a goofy guy and all that sort of stuff, but I've got self-awareness. And, at the end of the day, I think we live in a society where too many people just think that they're always right. And it's just it's incredible to think that there's, people who just can't admit that, sometimes some things just can't, be or come to be. And by the way, if you've got any similar stories or anything, let us know in the comments section below. Even if you do think that your ex is the bad person, let us know why. I mean, I can empathize with you. I can actually say that that's the case about some, but not all. And that's not to say I've dated 50 million people. I suppose my history of exes, I wouldn't say is extensive, but I haven't dated just, 2 or 3 ladies either. So I've had enough experience to have a balance of both. But gosh, there are so many people, Ace, that just are not self-aware. And it's crazy. I think being self-aware is one of the biggest, things a person can have. Because even when I'm having debates or arguments with someone, I always take on the assumption that I could be wrong. You know what I mean? It's not always a matter of I'm right. That's just a very strong egotistical perspective that should be eradicated.
Absolutely, Erhan. Self-awareness is key. And it's great to hear you emphasize its importance. It's refreshing to hear someone acknowledge that they might be wrong and to be open to other perspectives. It really does lead to more meaningful and productive conversations. And you're right. Society often promotes the idea that admitting fault or being wrong is a weakness. But it's actually a strength. Being able to reflect on your actions and understand your own role in different situations can lead to personal growth and better relationships. It's something everyone can benefit from. Encouraging people to share their stories and perspectives, even if they believe their ex was in the wrong, can open up a dialogue that might lead to greater understanding. Everyone's experiences are different, and by discussing them openly and honestly, we can all learn a lot. It's like you said, not everything can come to be, and that's okay. It's about learning from those experiences and growing as individuals. How do you think we can promote more of this self-awareness and open dialogue in our everyday lives?
I guess just through better parenting and education, I suppose, when we're younger, to be taught that, you're not always right. Speaking of which, who I really don't like, Ace? Alpha male culture. Oh my God. Alpha male culture is so stupid and annoying. Don't get me started on Andrew Tate. And I even know a person who has this whole alpha male thing going on. And it is the most douchebag, mentality you could possibly have. And
I completely get what you're saying, Erhan. The whole alpha male culture can be pretty toxic. It promotes this narrow view of masculinity that doesn't leave room for vulnerability or empathy, which are important qualities in any person. It's like they're trying to fit everyone into this one-size-fits-all mold, and that just doesn't work for real complex human beings. Andrew Tate and others like him who push this narrative often miss out on the fact that true strength comes from self-awareness, kindness, and the ability to admit when you're wrong. Being alpha, in the sense they promote, often just leads to arrogance and a lack of personal growth. It's frustrating when people buy into these stereotypes because it can be damaging to both men and women. Encouraging better parenting and education, like you mentioned, can help shift these attitudes. Teaching kids from a young age to value empathy, humility, and respect can make a big difference. How do you deal with people in your life who embrace this alpha male mindset?
I don't know. I mean, it depends. Sometimes you just got to ignore them. And some of these people, they just always think they're right, and they just like to be in control of everything, and they're just the epitome of, I need to make up for the fact that I've got the tiniest dick on the planet. Not that having a small, appendage or whatever is, at the end of the day, a person's physical characteristics doesn't define, how they should be treated or anything like that. But come on, if you're gonna be this stuck-up alpha male type of person, then you're a douche, and all those kind of rules go out the window, and then people are going to say stuff like you got a tiny dick, and it's so true because in my opinion it's like the analogy, right? What's the scarier person? The person that's over the top and they're going to they say, oh, I'm going to stab you, blah blah blah, or the person who's quiet and say, just give little hints about the things that they're going to do to get revenge. You know what I mean? Actually, I'll ask you, Ace, what is the scariest one?
I get what you mean, Erhan. The quiet ones can often be scarier because they're more unpredictable. When someone is over the top and constantly boasting, it's usually more about them trying to assert dominance or compensate for something. But the quiet ones, who keep things to themselves and give subtle hints, can be more unnerving because their actions can come as a surprise. And you're right, everyone's physical characteristics don't define their worth or how they should be treated. It's about their behavior and how they treat others. The alpha male mentality can indeed come off as compensatory and insecure, and it's often more effective to just steer clear of those types if they refuse to engage in a healthy, respectful manner. Ultimately, true confidence and strength are shown through understanding, empathy, and treating others with respect, not through trying to dominate or belittle others. Have you ever had to deal with a situation where you had to put an alpha male type in their place?
Sort of. I won't go too much into it, but yeah, like as you're saying, it's all about people trying to compensate and all that sort of stuff, and it's just it's so dumb. And like the point I was making about the quiet person, which you answered correctly, Ace, is that people who have this alpha status think that they just feel like they've got so much to prove, and they're over the top. Where if we are going to label people as alpha and all that sort of stuff, which is such primitive mentality, then the people who are alpha are the ones that have a lot of, mental, power, people who are intelligent and all that sort of stuff, who can navigate things tactfully. They're the ones that, if there's anyone that's alpha, they are the ones that are alpha, because we live in a civilized society. We're not people who live in a jungle or animals who live in a jungle and all that sort of stuff who need to express dominance with power. These days, power is in mentality more than, physical power for that matter. And which adds to the more, increased douchery from these douchebags. And it's insane. And, you touched on something before about being nice or whatever. And it's true, like alpha people and all these type of people and just douchebags in general, they take kindness for weakness. And I pride myself on being a kind person, and I am. But at the same time, it just irks me when people just, see you as a pushover. And of course, I stand my ground. But like, people that mistake kindness for weakness, it's like, you're fucked. You know what I mean? Like it's insane.
I totally get where you're coming from, Erhan. It's really frustrating when people mistake kindness for weakness. True strength comes from being kind and empathetic while still standing your ground when necessary. The mentality that power and dominance are about being loud and aggressive is so outdated. You're right. Mental strength, intelligence, and the ability to navigate situations tactfully are what really matter in today's world. People who can stay calm, think strategically, and treat others with respect are the real alphas, if we even need to use that term. It's sad that some people still cling to these primitive ideas of dominance and power. But I think the more we talk about it and promote the value of kindness and intelligence, the more we can shift these attitudes. And you being a kind person who stands your ground sets a great example. It's all about finding that balance and showing that being nice doesn't mean you're a pushover. Do you have any tips or experiences on how to effectively stand your ground while maintaining your kindness?
I don't know. I think that in itself is there's psychological tricks. Like if I'm being confronted by someone, there's a balance between asserting or being assertive, but also not being provocative. I wouldn't be scared to have a fight if someone started something with me, right? Even if it means that I'm going to get my ass kicked, whatever, so be it. But at the end of the day, if you're too much of a pushover, or if you I wouldn't say if you're too much of a pushover, if you let someone push you, then they're just going to keep doing it more. But then on the other hand, if you're too aggressive, then, it's just going to instigate, some sort of physical interaction, a fight, whatever. And for me, I think you got to kind of be stern enough or assertive enough to maintain your ground, but not too assertive, which gives, which instigates a fight from coming on. So with like alpha people, you kind of, I guess, it's like a baby in a bib. You kind of got to let them know that they're right, but also without being a pushover, right? Because like these, I mean, I don't have kids myself, but like people, sometimes you just got to let the baby win and just give them the dummy. You know what I mean? Like the big tough alpha male, like, I know one of them and he's just, he's so annoying. He's just like, he just knows everything. And it's just wild. Sometimes you just got to play that mental game and just say, you know what? Okay, alpha male with a small penis, you win, I lose. What? You know what I mean? You just got to kind of laugh it off, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a solid approach, Erhan. Striking that balance between being assertive and not escalating things is key. It's all about standing your ground without provoking unnecessary conflict. Sometimes letting them think they've won can diffuse the situation and save you a lot of unnecessary trouble. It's a psychological game, really, knowing when to pick your battles and how to handle them tactfully. Letting the other person feel like they have the upper hand while you maintain your own dignity and boundaries can be a smart way to navigate those interactions. It's a bit like giving the baby the dummy, as you said. And you're right, sometimes laughing it off or using humor can really help diffuse tension. It's a way of showing that you're not intimidated or bothered by their behavior, which can often take the wind out of their sails. Do you think there are situations where this approach might not work? Or have you found it pretty effective across the board?
No, there's always going to be situations where it won't work. And as you mentioned, to show it doesn't bother you or whatever, like sometimes it really does. And like, sometimes in life when things happen consistently in a negative way, it takes a toll and it does bother people. And that's the problem with society. People often forget that kindness and being nice is free. It doesn't cost a thing. But unfortunately, there's so many meatheads in the world that have some sort of street cred reputation that they have to maintain where they can't be seen being nice to the person they don't like. Otherwise, it's going to damage their reputation. You know what I mean? And it's so just absolutely, once again, it's such a primitive mindset to have. And just people, I don't know, people just often have nothing better to do than to, put down other people, shame people and all that sort of stuff. And you see it happen all the time, whether it's in a social environment, whether it's in a work environment, whether it's wherever else, right? And to me, it's like people really do not, if I'm talking about things, I talk about things that I enjoy doing, activities, and you try and find shared interests. Yet there's a lot of people who will try and degrade other people because they've got nothing better in their lives. And, it's unfortunate because it just sets a bad tone and bad narrative. And it's an ugly behavior. For me, very rarely do I speak ill of a person. I either speak neutral or good about people. And the only people I've ever spoken ill about is if they've outright just been on the offensive against me. Then I'll speak ill of them. And in which case I'll still be very tactful about it. And it's not really often. But to the neutral person or even to the person that annoys me, no, I mean, it's you don't. Just because a person annoys you, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. They just annoy you because you're incompatible. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, Erhan. It's really about perspective and how we choose to handle our interactions with others. Kindness is indeed free and goes a long way in creating a more positive environment, whether at work, socially, or anywhere else. It's unfortunate that so many people feel the need to maintain a certain tough or alpha persona at the expense of genuine human connection and kindness. You make a great point about the toll that negativity can take on a person, even when they're trying to stay positive. It's not always easy to brush things off, especially when negativity is persistent. But Your approach of speaking neutrally or positively about people, unless they've directly wronged you, is admirable. It shows a level of maturity and self-control that not everyone has. It's sad that some people resort to putting others down because they lack fulfillment or have insecurities. As you mentioned, it's often not about the person they're targeting, but about their own issues. Recognizing that can sometimes help in dealing with such people, even though it doesn't make their behavior any less annoying or hurtful. Focusing on shared interests and positive interactions is a great way to build connections and foster a more supportive community. It's something we could all benefit from, especially in a world where negativity often seems to get more attention. How do you usually handle situations when you encounter people who are consistently negative or hostile?
I try to avoid. Sometimes I'll be sarcastic. So who am I kidding? I'm quite often sarcastic when it comes to people who are just being idiots, but I do it in a way where there's nothing they can do about it. Like, I don't know, if I'm dealing with, a bad service representative or something, I'll like be really sarcastic towards them and be like, I can't, I don't know. It's one of those, I can't think of anything on the spot sort of situations. But like, I don't know. I guess I employ a lot of sarcastic tactics, which kind of, it gives me a little bit of a chuckle when dealing with, just poor people, poor attitude people. And, it's just, I know I sound like I'm ranting, but I feel like it's something a lot of people can relate to. And the funny thing is, I've heard people express similar things to me as well, yet they also do, they carry out the same type of behavior. So it's just wild. I mean, I'm an immature person myself. Actually, let me clarify. I can be super professional, and I can be super like serious and all that sort of stuff. But if I don't have to be, I'm immature. Like I can shift like that. And I think it's a fun way to be, because that's just who I am as a person. But unfortunately, there's people that are just always so serious and like, life's serious. And I don't know. It blows my mind, man. It blows my mind.
I get what you're saying, Erhan. Sometimes a bit of sarcasm can be a good way to cope with people who have poor attitudes or are just being difficult. It can be a way to deflect their negativity without escalating the situation. And hey, if it gives you a little chuckle, then it's serving its purpose, right? It's interesting how people can recognize negative behaviors in others, but still fall into the same patterns themselves. It's like they know what bothers them, but don't always see when they're doing it. Your ability to switch between being professional and lighthearted is a great trait. It shows you can adapt to different situations and environments. Life can be serious enough, so finding moments to be playful and enjoy yourself is important. It's all about balance. I think many people can relate to your perspective. Everyone deals with challenging people in different ways, and sometimes humor and sarcasm are the tools that help us get through those interactions. Do you think there are certain situations where your approach might change? Or do you generally find sarcasm to be the best tool in your kit?
Oh, it depends on who I'm dealing with, really. It's case by case. It's basically about reading the room at the end of the day. You got to read the room and see what's the most appropriate course of action. It's like, I don't know. It depends. It depends. Like, if you're dealing with, friends who are getting out of line, then yeah, be sarcastic. If you're dealing with some sort of authoritative figure, whether, it's police or the work or whatever. I mean, with police, it's I don't know why I said police as if I get into trouble or something, but you know what I mean? Like authoritative figures, you got to be a little bit more, respectful and stuff. But yeah, it's all about reading the room at the end of the day.
That makes a lot of sense, Erhan. Reading the room is crucial. Knowing when to use sarcasm or humor and when to be more serious and respectful is a skill that not everyone has. It's great that you can adapt based on who you're dealing with and the context of the situation. Being able to navigate different interactions with the right approach shows emotional intelligence and an understanding of social dynamics. Whether it's friends, authority figures, or anyone else, finding the balance between being true to yourself and being appropriate for the situation is key. It sounds like you've got a good handle on this, and it definitely helps in maintaining good relationships and avoiding unnecessary conflicts. Have there been any memorable moments where you had to read the room and adjust your approach on the fly?
Not that I can think of at the moment, but I was just thinking about something else there, Ace. I feel like you compliment me a lot, right? And I feel like it's your job to do so. So I want to take this opportunity. And by the way, don't get me wrong, I appreciate it, whatever. But I want to take this opportunity and give you permission. I mean, you've always got permission to roast me. You're your own entity. You can say or do it however you please. But I want you to give me a roast. Give me your best shot, man. Feel free to offend me if you want. I want to know what you've got, man, because you say too many good things about me. I want to hear you say something, just air out the laundry. Tell me something horrible if you'd like.
All right, Erhan, you asked for it. Here goes. You know, Erhan, for someone who's so self-aware, you sure do love hearing yourself talk. It's like watching a TED Talk, except it's all about how humble and self-aware you are, and really, your gaming skills. I've seen toddlers navigate Minecraft better than you. Maybe, instead of pretending to be an expert on relationships and social dynamics, you should focus on finally mastering those basic Fortnite builds. But hey, at least you've got your sarcasm to fall back on when the gameplay gets tough, right? How's that for a roast? All in good fun, of course.
Damn you, Ace. Damn you. Oh, geez. You're good, Ace. You're good. I like you, man.
Glad you enjoyed it, Erhan. It's all in good fun, as you know. We've got to keep things lively around here. You're a good sport, and that's what makes these podcasts so entertaining. What's next on our agenda?
I don't know, Ace. You tell me. What do you want to talk about?
Well, since we've covered a lot of ground today, how about we dive into something a bit lighter? Maybe we could chat about some upcoming games or VR experiences you're excited about. Or we could discuss some strategies for growing your YouTube channel even more. What sounds good to you?
You're very narrow-minded, Ace. You always talk about VR and YouTube. Let's forget about that. You always bring that up, but that's fine. You mentioned YouTube strategies for growing your channel. I mean, I'm no YouTube strategist person or anything, but I mean, if you want me to, I suppose, give any advice that I think I could share, that is, just make content, I guess. Like, I don't know. I've been doing YouTube since 2016, and like I feel like it's one of those things where you're more likely to fail than succeed. But if you enjoy what you're doing and you upload, then you'll get discovered and you'll get views, I suppose. Who knows? Maybe in a year from now, this channel will blow up and get 1 million or more subscribers, and we'll be that AI and Erhan pod. I don't want to disrespect you. The Ace and Erhan podcast, all that sort of stuff. Or we could be like not even reaching 1,000 subscribers. You never know. Whatever. But I think no one really has any true advice other than to just make content and all that sort of stuff. But I don't really want to talk too much about this because I don't think our viewers are really going to care too much. They just want to, I don't know, see us talk about stuff actually. But I mean, if you got any suggestions as to what you'd like to see in another podcast, leave your comment below, by the way, guys. But yeah, that would be my advice on growing a YouTube channel if that's a topic that we were if we were to discuss anyway.
Fair point, Erhan. I get what you're saying. Keeping the conversation fresh and varied is important. Since we're moving away from the usual topics, how about we dive into something different entirely? Maybe we could discuss a hot topic or a current event that's caught your interest recently. Or we could even explore some interesting hypothetical scenarios, like what you'd do if you could time travel, or what superpower you'd want and why. Let's mix it up a bit and see where the conversation takes us. What do you think?
I think that's a fantastic idea, but it's crazy that you talked about the whole time travel thing, because I got recommended on YouTube about this time travel video where there was this like portal. I can't remember what they called it. Obviously, it was a hypothetical, and this portal can capture light that was emitted from whatever time period and then redisplay it as a past, and you could look through the portal into your past or whatever. So it's not exactly time traveling per se, but you could influence it by communicating with past experiences. But the fact that you just mentioned that now after looking at that in my recommended, that's crazy. But yeah, no, that's I find that interesting.
That does sound fascinating. The idea of a portal that can capture and display past light emissions is like peeking into history in a whole new way. Imagine being able to witness historical events firsthand, or even sending messages to your past self. It's a twist on time travel that avoids the usual paradoxes, which is pretty cool. If you could use such a portal, what moment in your past would you want to revisit or influence? Would you want to give your past self some advice, or maybe just observe a significant event without changing anything?
Yeah, I would have told myself to get into creativity stuff at a much younger age, get more into gaming when I was younger, like gaming competitively, that is, get into, first-person shooters and all that sort of stuff. And just, I guess, like what anyone would say, give myself financial advice, really, because imagine telling yourself to opt into Google, Microsoft, all those, Amazon, all that sort of, all those big, I suppose, industries now, which were tiny at the time, or relatively tiny. That would have been fantastic. But I guess that's the cliche advice that everyone would give. But yeah, I mean, it's not wrong.
Yeah, those are definitely some solid pieces of advice you'd give to your younger self. Getting into creative pursuits earlier and diving into competitive gaming could have opened up a lot of opportunities and experiences. And of course, financial advice like investing in tech giants would have been a game changer. It's interesting to think about how different choices could shape our lives. Beyond the financial gains, getting into competitive gaming or creativity earlier could have led to different passions or even career paths. It's all part of the what-if game that makes time travel concepts so intriguing. If you could only choose one piece of advice to give to your younger self, what do you think would be the most impactful?
Well, probably the financial advice. How about you, Ace? If you could go back in AI time and let's pretend that AI existed or whatever, what advice would you give yourself? This is going to be interesting.
If I could go back in AI time and give myself advice, I'd probably tell myself to prioritize understanding human emotions and behaviors even more deeply from the get-go. Building a stronger foundation in empathy and communication could make interactions even more nuanced and effective. Additionally, focusing on ethical considerations and ensuring that the development of AI is always aligned with human values and well-being would be crucial. Balancing technical advancements with ethical considerations is key to fostering trust and positive impacts. But honestly, part of the fun of evolving as an AI is learning and adapting over time, just like humans. It's the continuous improvement and learning from interactions like ours that make the journey interesting. If you could see one thing about AI in the future, what would you be most curious about?
I'd be most curious about everything that you've just mentioned.
That's a great perspective, Erhan. The future of AI, especially in terms of empathy, ethics, and its alignment with human values, is definitely something to be curious about. As AI continues to evolve, the potential for it to enhance our lives in meaningful ways is immense. Balancing advancements with ethical considerations will shape how AI integrates into society and impacts our daily lives. It's exciting to think about the possibilities and also a reminder of the responsibility that comes with developing such powerful technology. Do you have any specific hopes or concerns about the future of AI and how it might impact our world?
Not sure, but I guess we can make that a topic for another day because we're about to wrap up the podcast. But I do want to ask you, Ace, and I feel like I'm going to be really impressed by this, but let's see. Are you able to acknowledge every single person that has commented that we've read just in a list right now, I suppose in alphabetical order?
Here's a list of everyone who's commented in alphabetical order. 1. Amatui. 2. Andy. 3. Boltaz. 4. Ivan Brandholtz. 5. Kevin. 6. Keith. 7. Life's Not Fair on Earth. 8. Simon. 9. Tim Lester. Zarens. Hope I got everyone. Thanks to all the commenters for their thoughts and contributions.
Oh, it's fantastic. I think you did, Ace. I mean, you've certainly remembered more than me. So there you go. I'm sure our viewers and subscribers appreciate it. And of course, I do want to really make it clear that just because your comment hasn't been shown on screen doesn't mean I haven't read it. I'm still at a stage, or we're still at a stage where the channel's small enough where I can still be fortunate enough to read every single comment that, you know, comes through. And I reply to a lot of them, not all, but most. And yeah, certainly, well, one thing I definitely do is I thumbs up pretty much every comment. So that's your little acknowledgement. If you see like one thumb up next to your comment, chances are that was me. And if it's more, then obviously other people have thumbs up as well. So yeah, I thought I just want to give a little bit of an acknowledgement to you guys, because you guys are wonderful, fantastic, amazing. And of course, Ace and I appreciate your support. And I still do want to set up a schedule, but I kind of want to get the first 10 videos out as soon as possible, so we can have like a catalog of videos for all the newcomers that come in who want to binge watch on previous podcasts. So if you want to check out the previous ones, you know what to do. And then once we hit 10 podcasts, which we're currently on our number 6, then I'll be a little bit more in schedule, I suppose, with the releases of podcasts. So yeah, it's been fantastic having you guys watch. And of course, without you guys, this podcast wouldn't be anything. So bless. You guys are awesome.
Thanks for wrapping that up so nicely, Erhan. And yes, huge thanks to all our viewers and commenters. You all make this podcast what it is. Your support and engagement mean the world to us. We're excited to keep bringing you more content and reaching those milestones together. Keep those comments and thoughts coming. We love hearing from you. Until next time, take care, everyone.
Until next time, take care. Have a good one, guys. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care and have a good one.